Hello, everyone. Mark here. Just wanted to say that the following episode, Cam and I actually recorded a few weeks ago. And as you know, we always do a bit of a patron shout out at the end of the ep. Um, the problem is, though, with this following episode, the shout out's a bit out of date. So I just wanted to do a shout out at the beginning, just so that everyone gets their shout outs. So here we go. It's Amara Zainab, Nick Payne, Frank Case, Carl Sherville, Rob Percy, and of course, Craig Chuck. Thank you so much for your patronage. We really do appreciate it. All your support is really helpful into us, creating this podcast that we enjoy doing, and we hope you enjoy listening. If you haven't signed up to the Patreon, then please do look us up. It's only £2.50, and you get a shout out and you get early access to episodes. So it's really cool. You can't even buy a pint of beer for £2.50 these days, so it's definitely worth it. So yeah, that's enough of me rambling. Let's get on with the episode.
Right, Mark, here we go. Another recording. How are you?
I'm all right, Cam. How you doing? I'm not gonna lie, I'm a
Yeah,
bit sleepy, but other than that, I'm all right.
yeah. Well, you've had it. Yeah, you've had it full on, haven't you? You've had days and days of shoots. So
Back-to-back Indian weddings over the weekends. You've done a weekend if you've done one of those. So my word.
no, that's all good. Good to hear. Now, what are we talking about on today? What's going to excite people today?
Well, I mean, just listening to us surely is exciting enough. But no, well, we're going to have a bit of fun later on, aren't we? So we're going to talk about things that get on our nerves, things that we don't like, things that we hate about the photography industry, working in photography. It's a bit tongue-in-cheek. It's nothing to be taken too seriously. But it was based on a video that I saw. And actually, he said a few things. I was like, yeah, that does annoy me. So I'm going to reiterate some of that. And obviously, you've got some things you want to chime in with as well. But first of all, I think we're going to talk about Nikon in a positive way, because to me, it is fair to say we have sort of not trash Nikon, but we kind of said they're the third manufacturer, haven't we? It's really been Canon, Sony, and then Nikon. But they have, to be fair to them, they have really picked up their game over the last couple of years, I feel, especially with the mirrorless. I think the Z9 has been a success, and we saw some of the other cameras at the photography show that the FM2 relaunch, and well, not relaunch, but they were doing those cameras based on the FM2 and other cameras, and there's a bit of nostalgia there, I guess, but they are producing some good products now, and a lot of people who are Nikon users should be excited about the stuff that's coming out. I think they did move out of Japan, didn't they? Although the Japanese market has gone up, which will automatically help Nikon, obviously. But yeah, I think it's great. And Cam, you've got a story about a positive Nikon story, which is fantastic to hear.
I have, that's right, yeah, and it's actually been announced by Nikon, but they 4 of their products have won an award. They've won the 4 products have won the Red Dot winner awards. Now, first of all, what is the Red Dot?
I was just about to ask, what is the Red Dot Award, Cam?
Wow, I can tell you. Okay, so the Red Dot, it's a design award, and it started in the 1950s, mid-50s. It's 1955. I got it exactly right.
Okay, so it's been around then. It's been around.
That's right, yeah. And it's an international design company that recognises excellence in brand communication and product design. It's communication and design concept. So it's all to do with product design, I guess. And it's awarded annually by a jury of experts in each category. And basically, the Red Dot is an acknowledgement of the best in design and business. So I think it's a good thing, because it's not come from a sort of camera like a camera awarding type of place, but it's just something that's a bit more independent.
Feels like a proper award.
Yeah, I think so, and it's worth taking note of. Now, for those of you that aren't Nikon users, that are staunchly Canon or Sony or Olympus or whatever, I think it's important to listen to and see what other manufacturers are doing with their products. I've moved from Nikon to Sony to Canon, and so I've moved because I've always felt what's the best thing on the market, what's right for me. Just because I was a Nikon user before, it didn't mean that I couldn't use Sony. And then it didn't mean that I couldn't go back to Nikon, and then I ended up going to Canon. And just having the awareness of what others are doing, rather than just sort of saying, "Well, I'm a Canon user and I don't like Nikon," and that type of thing, is good to have that awareness. So So Nikon Europe is delighted to announce it has received an impressive 4 Red Dot Awards for product design. 2 of Nikon's full-frame flagship mirrorless cameras, the Nikon ZF and Z8, have been recognised by the jury. This is while in the lens department, not 1 but 2 lenses took home an award, which included the Nikon Z600 millimeter and 135 f1.8 Plena lens. It says products from 60 countries were submitted in the world-class design competition, which were then judged by a panel of esteemed design specialists from around the world. Degree of innovation, functionality, ergonomics, and durability were all taken into consideration throughout the deliberation process before the winners were announced. So Nikon started with. Now let's kick off with the lenses first, because I think more people are going to be interested in the actual cameras. Okay,
yes.
We'll come on to that afterwards. Okay?
Yes, you got to wait just a little bit, guys.
Exactly. Okay, so the Nikon Z 135 millimeter f1.s Plena or Plena. Not quite sure what that stands for. It was just a brand name. It says with its lens, with its specialized optics and 11 blade rounded aperture, this lens is truly one of a kind for both stills and video. And they pick it up saying it redefines the all notion of what 135 millimeter f1.8 lens can do. Now I have a 135 millimeter f1.8 lens, but it's a Samyang Cine lens, okay, which I use for video, and it is remarkable what we can get with video with one of those lenses. Is just beautiful shots. Depth of field is incredible. Very interesting, because this is going to be a real upgrade on Samyang, and I'm not knocking the Samyang at all. And it says it's a Z mount, allowing for optimum spacing of the elements, and the 11 rounded aperture blades, minimizing diffraction. Aberrations are thoroughly suppressed at any aperture. Don't quite know how to put that in plain English, but they're saying it's going to be pretty damn good. Okay, and it's one.
It's many blades, isn't it? It's many blades in the aperture ring, which means that there's not going to be any distortion or aberration is, I think, the word they use there. So, yeah.
There we go. Right from our lens expert on the podcast. You heard it here.
Yeah, right.
Okay, right. So the next one, the 600 millimeter f6.3 VRS. It's again stills or video. It says capture the speed, power, and grace of distant subjects with the 600 millimeter f6.3 VRS prime lens. Lightweight and balanced for handheld shooting, crisp and clear at any aperture. Okay, first thing there, it says it's lightweight and balanced for handheld shooting. For 600 millimeter lens to be lightweight and suitable for handheld shooting. If that's in their design, then, and if that's true, then that alone, deserves to be recognized just for that. Just looking at the picture of it, it looks a huge lens.
I'm guessing because my Canon 70-200 weighs a ton. it's so heavy.
They do, don't they? And I think people forget that. People forget how heavy these lenses can actually be. And I think a lot of people buy them and then don't use them so much, just because they find them very, very difficult to use. Price wise, looking at it, just looking very, very quickly, this 600 millimeter lens is, depending on where you buy it from, it's anything between about £4,500 to £4,500. Okay, so it's not cheap, and you wouldn't expect it to be cheap. So anyone that's going to buy it is going to be buying it for a specific reason.
Yeah. I mean, it's not quite the £2 million Leica lens we discussed last week.
Quite exactly. That's right. Yeah. And then the 135 mm f1.8. Again, depending on where you buy it from, it's going to range from anything between about 2,200 to about just over £2,500. Okay, so you would expect them to be at that sort of price.
Yeah.
So but we now move on to the two cameras. Okay, this is the bit where I think for most people are really going to be interested in. Okay, so the first one that won the Red Dot Award is the Nikon ZF, and it says the ZF is where classic Nikon analog camera design meets advanced Z series tech for next level performance. It's a perfect fusion. It's the perfect fusion of past and present. The black finish on the precision milled brass mechanical control dials reveals an attractive patina over time. The more you use your ZF, the more it becomes one of a kind.
These were the cameras that we saw. I was talking about earlier.
These were absolutely. These are great. I love that. I mean, to be honest with you, if you want to buy, a retro looking and
feeling
in a camera
and
that works.
operating. Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It goes back to the history of Nikon, really, I guess, is the design, the features and everything.
And I was a Nikon user back in the film days, you know. Well, I had Pentax first, and then I got the Nikon F4. So yeah, I mean, I always loved the way the Nikons felt in the film days. Yeah, I just thought
it's great. Just looking at it, I'm just looking at a picture of it now, and you feel like you want to pick it up. And depending on where you buy it from, it's anything between, I suppose, 2,000 to 2,300. So it's around the $2,000 mark. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I know there are people that have gone out and bought this camera, or they bought the Fujifilm cameras, the retro-looking cameras. And have gone out and bought them because they think, wow, this is really good, this is really cool looking. But they have got no idea how to use them, because these are really manual cameras used in the old-fashioned way that we would shoot using film.
But they don't. It's not as an expensive mistake though, because they still. I can't remember. Did they have a screen? I can't remember.
They do have a screen.
They do have a screen. Yeah.
So they have. Yeah, they have all of that.
Yeah. Not like shooting like we did with film, where you could have a whole, you know.
No, but in a way it does really, Mark, because when you look at the dials at the top, you've got the shutter speed. It's a dial at the top. You've got the ISO. It is really for photographers, and I don't mean to be sort of condescending here. It's for photographers that know how to use cameras. It's for photographers that don't put anything in auto. Yes, it has got an auto setting, but don't buy this camera. This camera is not for everyone. Okay. Yes, it looks cool. Don't buy it because it looks cool. Okay. I mean, that's one reason for buying it, but only buy it if you know how to use cameras and you know how to use a camera.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I think it's great that if people are interested in the retro style of cameras, if you're spending £2,000 on a camera, you probably know a thing or two about photography anyway. You know what an aperture does.
No, I disagree.
No, I don't. I think unless you're some millionaire who can just spend £2,000 anywhere.
I know people that have gone out and spent this much money on a camera. Yeah. And I do. I'm not just saying it, and they've got no idea how to use. I'm not talking about this specific camera. I'm talking about they'll go out and buy a £2,000 camera and have no idea how to use it.
But you'll be able to learn how to use it. I mean, it's not as hard as it used to be. When I bought my F4, or when I was using, I mean, I learned on a Pentax ME Super. It was a lot more difficult to learn the basics. I'm not talking about being a pro here. I'm talking about being a good amateur or just keen photographer. And the fact that it has a screen, you can learn this stuff. There's plenty of stuff on YouTube, and I don't know. I think the aesthetics and the nod back to the analog world is a good thing. And I think if more people are into that, go for it. I mean, you're getting the analog aesthetics with the digital comfort, I guess, of, you'll be able to still delete the picture if it's rubbish, and you can retake it again and you can see it straight away. And it probably, I don't know what card it takes. It probably still takes an SD or maybe an SQD if they're being particularly mean. I don't know. But, it's, I don't know. I think.
I do agree with everything that you've said. I think what I'm saying really is, don't sort of go and buy it on a whim. Okay, if you're thinking, I really want to learn this, I really want to get into this, I want to figure out how to use this, I want to use it properly, then yes, but don't buy it on a whim thinking, oh, this is really cool and it's all manual, when you've got no idea how to use it, because you'll find it frustrating, and all you'll do is put it in the auto setting, and then it's a waste of the beauty of this camera and
I agree with
that. To offer.
Okay. If you're gonna do it properly. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, and if you just want to get a nice looking camera, but you just want to stick it in auto just to try and get some good pictures, then all I'm saying then is maybe this is not the camera for you, because there's lots of dials, lots of little switches, lots of I mean, there's a lot more on it, which you should learn to use. You would need to think to get the best out of this camera, and to enjoy using the camera. I mean, I'm looking at it now.
Would you buy it? Would you buy it?
Oh, I would buy it without thinking about it. I'd love to buy it, because we've said this before, Mark, I never take a camera with me on holiday, and for me, I just take pictures on my phone and whatever.
Would you take this one though?
But you see, for me, this brings the joy back into going back to that whole sort of what would feel like film days and shooting and turning the dials and all of that.
Yeah.
And I think I probably would,
See, I don't think it would be one that I would buy.
Right.
Personally.
Okay.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I love it. I think it's
Mm.
a brilliant camera, but it would be superfluous for my needs. And if you're spending £2,000, I would sooner buy the is it the Fujifilm X100? That one that we saw in the Fujifilm, and it's got all the film filters.
Mm.
Because it's not an SLR, it's more of a compact camera, and
Yeah.
that would be the camera I'd take on holiday.
Right.
I wouldn't necessarily take this Nikon camera over my Canon because it's essentially the same thing. I'd have to buy lenses for it and all that kind of stuff. Whereas this Fuji, I can see it's more of a compact camera.
Sure. I mean, you're saying to me that, would I use it? Yes, I would use it, but I wouldn't go out and use it on a professional shoot. And the reason why I say that, it's more than capable, right? It's more than capable of shooting a wedding on it or a product shoot. It can do everything that you want it to do. What I'm saying is I would use it I would use it more out of the enjoyment factor of playing around with it, setting everything manually. Which if I was on an actual shoot, then I would want the speed, the quickness of everything just being there, without dials and knobs and buttons and everything. Okay. However, I'm not talking about image quality at all. I'm talking about actually using it actually with hands-on use rather than quality. We're not talking about quality at all. Okay. But I would buy this camera, and I know for a fact, I've said this, that I said that when I retire and I get rid of all my gear and everything, I'll probably buy a Leica or something, okay, or I might buy one of these, okay, just to go back to sort of to come full circle almost, I guess, because I want to get my hands on one of these and I actually want to actively use it. But at the moment, I don't, I won't buy one just yet. But I know that if I do pick up this camera, I'll be able to make maximum use of it because I'll know how to use it straight away, and I'll be able to use it to the way it's intended and look cool at the same time, or look cooler, should we say?
Well, I was going to say Cam,
Okay, right. Next camera. Okay, so the fourth one, and I think this will probably be of interest to most people out there. Okay, that won the Red Dot award for product design is the Z8.
Yes. Now we spoke to the guys at the Nikon stand about this camera. We had a big conversation about it, didn't we? It's doing really, really well. The Z8 generally, I think it's really good shot in the arm for Nikon. I think
beautiful camera. It says so. The Z8 brings the feature set of the Z9, which is their flagship, to a body that is 30% smaller than the Z9 and 15% smaller than the D850. So those of you that are familiar with the Z9 and the D850, think about the size: 30% smaller than the Z9 and 15% smaller than the D850. That's quite substantial.
Yeah,
and it's 45 megapixels. And it's a full frame sensor. It says the phenomenal deep learning autofocus system and a subject and eye detection hit rate you can rely on. It says the blackout free real live viewfinder and 4-axis tilting monitor, video, stills, or both. You have the freedom to innovate while the Z8 reliably nails every time. So the Z8 is definitely a camera that I would think of buying, purely just for size. A lot of people, I've said this before, a lot of people are going out and buying cameras, and they're buying the camera for what the camera actually is, because it's the Z9, because it's the Z7 Mark II, because it's the R3. But what they don't think of enough, I think, is why am I buying this camera? Is this camera the camera that I really need for the work that I actually do? Okay. Now the Z8, okay, it's about £3,500 to £4,000, depending on where you buy it from. Okay. It's roughly around that sort of price. Now, a camera like this, I mean, it's going to be perfect for weddings and most other stuff. And if it's smaller than something like the Z9, then why not buy something that's smaller, easy to handle, lighter, that type of thing? I think a lot of people that have gone out and bought the Z9, great camera, not knocking it at all, a hell of a lot of money. Camera. But do you really need it when Nikon and Canon and Sony do have other cameras in their ranges that are just as good? Okay, so it's 45 megapixels. Okay, now how many people need that? A wedding photographer certainly doesn't need that. Okay,
it's one of the reasons why I didn't go for the R5 and went for the R6. I didn't need that.
Don't need it. You know, when someone says to me, "Oh, I know, but it's got 35 megapixels. Oh, it's incredible," and I'm using one, let's say that's 20. You think, well, actually, really, what's the difference? You know, in what we see with our eyes. Yes, there is going to be a difference if you really look at it. But what is the final use? What are we using? What are you using that for? You know, so fair. You know, shout out to Nikon, okay, because we have said we have not Nikon, and rightly so over the years, in our opinion, rightly so, that they did fall behind Canon. They had to up their game. They have upped their game, definitely. They're still not innovative, right? Or innovative, however you want to say it. Not like Sony or Canon. I think they're quite behind with all of that. But what Nikon do have, and I'm going to come back to the ZF, is classic camera design.
Okay? Yes, they do.
And they've gone back to that with the Nikon ZF, and I think they should milk that as much as they can, because I know Canon had was it the Canon A1 range and film cameras they had? Can't remember what it was now.
Yeah.
They had a classic design look as well.
It's the AE1. I always wanted an AE1. I thought they were lovely cameras.
Now whether you're a Canon
A1 was great.
Yeah. Well, now whether you're a Canon or a Nikon user, I still think Nikon had the upper hand on camera design at that stage. They were the classic. Yeah. To me, they were the classics.
Well, one of the reasons why I liked Nikon film cameras is because they kept the aperture in the same place. You know, when Canon went over to the EOS range, the autofocus, still film, we're still talking film here, you know, their aperture suddenly became a dial on the back, that wheel. I love the wheel, especially with but you know, because the aperture was on the lens, but Nikon still kept their aperture on the lens, and I preferred it, you know, because I was obviously student, and I was using, like I said, the ME Super by Pentax, and you know, as soon as you want to change the aperture, you automatically went to the aperture ring. So that's why I moved over to Nikon rather than Canon. But just to go back to what you were saying about the Z9 versus the Z8, you know, what you said is absolutely correct. I mean, the size difference, I think, really is because of the portrait grip. The Z9 has the portrait grip and and obviously the extra shutter motor, whereas the Z8 does not. I'm sure you can add it onto the Z8.
Definitely.
So therefore, it'll be the similar size. But I mean, for me, if it's got pretty much the features of the Z9 on the Z8, you know, I'm looking at the prices here. So Park cameras, I'm just going to go with them because they're, you know, it's the first lot that came to me. So the Z8, they're selling the Z8 body only. It's £3,299, whereas the Z9 is £4,999. So basically £5,000. Big difference in price there. Big difference in price. Still. They're both more expensive, I think, than the Canon R6, which is what I use. And I still think that's a marvelously good camera. I guess the Z8 probably has more spec on it. Yeah, I think it's more of the equivalent of the R3. But yeah, absolutely right, Cam. Unless you really, really, really need the Z9, go for the Z8. You save yourself quite a few
ton of money. That's right. Yeah. Now, I think one thing I will say, just to sort of my final comment on this is, I said, we're both using the R6, which is perfect for our needs. Okay, it's great. We've got great lenses. That's one of the most important things as well. Perfect for everything that we want. Now, if I was going to change my camera, and I was going to change it right now, whenever my Canon needs changing, whatever, I think I would be tempted to go for the Z8.
Yeah, it's a good. It looks like a good camera.
I would change from Canon to the Z8 because I remember seeing it at the photography show when Nikon spoke to us about it, and they were telling us about it. And I remember looking at it then, and I was really excited about it at the time. And looking at it now, particularly it's been highlighted with this product, this Red Dot Design Award, it's made me think even more. I mean, when you look at the features that it has, I mean, not that you need to, but 8K video. And it's great for video and photos. I think the one thing I would look for is the maximum video recording time, because a lot of these cameras overheat.
Yes.
Now, I know it's got better, but they probably shoot for about 20 minutes or 30 minutes. Now, it might be more than that. I don't know. However, the Canon do and I can't remember what it is. It's a bigger, bulkier camera, isn't it?
The R5.
Yeah, that's got the
Version of the R5.
version of the R5. That's
Yeah, it's the
specifically
R5
like
C, I think it's called.
C, that's it. Yeah,
Or
okay.
R5 Cine or something like that. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, for video, because it's got like built-in fans, and
Mm.
so my if I was going to go out and buy a camera now, I would either look at that one, that Canon 5C, I think it's a 5C, or I'd look at the Z8.
Yeah, I mean, I was actually mistaken. I don't think it is the R3. That's the equivalent to the Z8. It is actually the R5, I think, because especially looking at the
R5, right.
price spec. So
Okay.
the R5 is about the 3,000,
Yeah.
but just over about 3,000, 3.2, something like that, 3,002.
Yeah.
So, and that does have, again, the 8K on the video. It does have the biggest spec on the pixel range compared to the R6. And I mean, little things as well. It has a screen on the top of the camera, whereas the R6 doesn't. But have you missed the screen on the top of your camera?
No, not at all.
No, I haven't.
I
I
always
thought I
thought I
would.
did.
I thought
I
I
always
would.
thought it did. That was a big thing for me, losing that,
Yeah.
and it's not made any difference. You do get used to it.
You do. You do.
And now actually, when I pick a camera up, because I had my hands on a Z7 yesterday, I was with somebody who's using the Z7 Mark II, and it had the screen on the top, and it was something about it that made it look a little bit dated. I thought, don't really need that. It's what you get used to. Now the Z8, will we ever get one for product review from Nikon? Most likely, no.
Well, I don't know.
Canon are great. Oh, Mark, I know, right? I'm not going to speak about the bush. Nikon, they're not particularly like very overly sort of supportive to
well, hang on. Let's not burn our bridges. Let's not burn our bridges with Nikon. I mean, we haven't really sort of persisted with our questioning with Nikon.
Canon are great. Canon are absolutely fantastic. Okay, they'll give us products for review. Great. Nikon, not so much.
Yeah, but Fuji don't either. Fujifilm, sorry, because we got told off about that, didn't we? It's Fujifilm.
Yes, that's right. It is Fujifilm.
Fujifilm. Fujifilm and Olympus, they don't either, really. So it's let's not. Yeah, but I have to say, if you want to send us a Z8, I'd love to compare it. Make a Nikon user out of me. I mean, it'll be difficult because I'd have to then sell on my lenses and read all the infrastructure to go Nikon, which is unlikely. But yeah.
Yeah, good stuff. Shout out to Nikon there. Well done, Nikon. Congratulations on winning that award. And Mark, let's grab a drink.
Absolutely.
Right, Mark. Now we're going to do something. It's a little bit tongue in cheek, but it's also sort of
it is.
Will resonate with a lot of photographers out there, and it's about the things that as photographers we do as photographers and things that we don't like, things that maybe irritate us a little bit.
Well, I'm going to have a bit of a shout out because I do like looking at the news. I mean, that's how we get our stories, really, isn't it? That's how we know what's going on. And I came across this video. It was on F-stoppers. I like F-stoppers. And it was a photographer called Justin Motz did a video about things that, well, he said the video is things that he hates in the photography industry. He then said something right at the beginning. Says, I don't really hate these things. It's just. It makes a title that some things I don't really like about it is not quite as impactful as a title. So some of the things that I'm going to mention, he said in his video, and went, yeah, that's absolutely true. So I'm going to reiterate some of them on here, and some of them are ones that we've thought about as well. So Cam, I'll let you start off. What's
the other thing that prompted it was in actual fact that I mean, we're sat here, we're recording this in the morning, and what I did was I was making some breakfast, and it made me actually think that as photographers about our diet, and I was making I've got this drink here, this is what I'm actually drinking here this morning. Yes, it looks a bit.
I mean, it looks.
What on earth is that?
Looks like blancmange, but there we go.
Okay, right. Made in my NutriBullet, which is one of the best things I bought. I bought about 3 or 4 years ago, and I've used it an awful lot. Now, in this cup here, I've got oats. I've got strawberries, raspberries, blueberries, a banana, some nuts, chia seeds, flax seeds, and pumpkin seeds. And a couple of spoonfuls of Greek yogurt and then some water. It is lovely. It's beautiful. Yeah. Okay. A couple of slices of seeded brown toast with that, and it's a good healthy breakfast.
Okay.
And I generally do eat well, and I do eat healthy. I do look after myself. I do work out. I try and do the right things. Yes, I eat a lot of crap. I do, and I do like a drink, but in the main, Now, as photographers, though, a poor diet is very it's a poor diet is a very easy habit to fall into, but particularly if you're out not just on a day shoot. Let's just say take a wedding for example, okay, or you're shooting at an event, but also but particularly if you're away for a couple of days or a week for a few days, it can be very difficult to find and to eat healthy, as we know, Mark, don't we?
Well, yes. I mean, I not because we've got a whole list of these things. I don't want to labour this one too much, but yes, it is annoying. If you're at a wedding, we always talk about, it's awful when we don't get fed, but actually when we do get fed, and most of the time we do, to be fair, it's very
to be fair, we do, yeah.
It is it's normally a roast dinner or something, and it can be quite beige and stuff. And I don't want to sound ungrateful here, but it's not the best for you. And I tell you what, when I do Indian weddings as well, which I did. So last weekend I did 2 Indian weddings and I did a pre-party on the Friday, and so I've had a lot of curry over the weekend, and I can feel it. I can feel it in my tongue. And the thing is, the food's really nice.
The thing is, right, when it comes to Indian food. Now, Indian food can be the healthiest food in the world, but it can also be the unhealthiest food in the world, the way that it's cooked. Generally, at weddings, everything is made for richness of taste. And to get all that richness of everything, it's not going to be cooked in the healthiest way.
Correct.
Okay. Correct. So, so when you have the food, yes, it tastes great, but it's not necessarily the healthiest for you.
Yeah. And also, you get unlike white weddings, and again, I don't want to. This isn't a Indian versus white wedding, and I don't want to. But with Indian weddings, you get 3 courses. you get a lot.
You're fed all day, aren't you? You're fed all day.
Fed all day. You get breakfast. I mean, I had. It was a Hindu wedding on the Saturday, and they had the best jalabis. I mean, they were just so good because you can get bad. So, people who might not know what a jalebi is, it's well, Cam, you explain it. You probably know better what it is than I do.
It's just a very sweet, sugary snack, I suppose. Yeah. A little sweet. It's very sticky. Yeah. So if you touch it with your hands, it's very sticky.
It looks like crispy chili beef, like coiled crispy chili beef. That's what it looks like.
Right.
It's nothing like it. Tastes nothing like it, but that's what it looks like.
Yeah.
But some of them can be quite watery, can't they? And I don't like those ones. But these ones the other day were just marvelous.
if you've got a sweet tooth, yes, they're very good. But then good. You can start off an Indian wedding by having samosas in the morning.
Yeah.
A cup of quite heavy Indian tea, and by then it's already weighing heavy on your stomach.
Yeah. Right? I mean, you are active, but so keeping to a good diet is tricky for a photographer, I would say, especially in the line of photography that we do. And we haven't even talked about going away graduations where you're basically having pub grub every night. It is different. You can try the Huel thing and all that, but I don't know.
I'm glad you said that because I wasn't actually going to mention them by name. Okay.
Oh, right. Okay.
Right,
well.
Okay. Right. Now, these type of companies, and then let's not mention the one that you said again, but these type of companies that offer these, what are they, meal replacements?
Yeah, I think so.
For me, I don't think they're any good for you. It's processed food. They say that if you eat something, you want to have it as closest to the original root food that was found in. Now it's so far removed, and people say, yeah, they taste great. It gives me all the stuff that I need and everything, but it's so processed. I can't see how they can be good for your body.
Well, isn't it? I mean, what do the astronauts eat? I mean, they must eat reasonably good stuff, I guess. I mean, is it not based around that? Is that not the same sort of technology? I don't know.
It is, but what I would say about astronauts, from before they actually go, all of their training, I bet you they're eating an incredibly healthy diet, rich in everything. Okay, it's only probably while they're away that they then start to have and rely on that food, and I don't think that's a problem. Okay, because I think they're probably supremely fit with a supreme diet before they go, so they're in good shape before they go.
Anyway, we did promise people a list of things that we were going to talk, and we just spoken about diet for the past 5 minutes. So,
but it's a topic I'd like to come back on at a later date because I think it's quite important because as photographers, we do need to be fit. We do need to look after ourselves because of the way we work and everything that we do. Okay, right. So moving on to the next one. Okay, about things that annoy us.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So I know I put. Now it's not fair to say this and lump them all as one, but clients. Okay, I guess it's client requests and client expectations.
The people who pay us our money, right?
Say, okay, but the people who pay us our money. Okay, yeah. Now, I think we've already come across this thing. We've spoken about it before, haven't we? Project creep.
Project creep. Yeah, no, project creep does annoy me. I wouldn't necessarily say all our clients do that. Most of my clients are lovely, by the way. I love you all. Please keep using my services. But yeah, project creep is a pain in the bum. And it's just like these little add-ons. Well, I wasn't supposed to do that. This is now a new thing that you're asking me to do. Oh, whilst you're here, you can do this. Well, that's not what I quoted you for. So there will be an add-on fee for that. And they go, well, but you're here. But no, this is a different thing. I'm sorry.
And another thing, and that partly relates to it, that I find that when I've gone to some companies and I'm on a shoot with them for the day, it's almost like they begrudge you or they're not going to give you a break. Because what they're trying to do is they're trying to get the maximum amount of time. They think, right, we'll book these guys for 8 hours. We booked them for 4 hours. For 4 hours, we want them to do this, this, and this. But they don't think, hey, can we get you coffee? Do you want to take a break? Do you need to, it's like, oh, while you're here, and it is part of Project Creep, but, oh, can we do this while you're here? Can you do that? Oh, right, I've got your schedule here. Okay, and you look at the schedule. We've got you for 3 hours, haven't we? Okay, and you look at the schedule and you think, oh my God, there's 20 things I've got to cover in those 3 hours. And that means I've got to shift all the gear from building to building or room to room. And then I've got to shift over here. It's like, this is not going to be doable. Right. And, do you mind if I stopped and had a coffee for just 5 minutes? I just need something, Sometimes you have to turn around and say to the client, I'm just going to grab some lunch if you don't mind. I could really do with something to eat. It's, oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, it's absolutely fine. But they sometimes they look at the clock because they're trying to get as much out of you for those hours that they've got you there.
Yeah.
So
no, that's
clients,
so project creep, basically. I think that's what it is, isn't it? One that annoys me, shooting over my shoulder. Okay, please don't do that. It really irritates the hell out of me. I've set up this shot. It's my expertise that set up this shot, and then you just want to take a picture because of my hard work. No, don't do that. Sometimes at weddings, if I've set something up and I see someone on a mobile phone, I will invite you in. Don't worry, I will invite you in to take the picture. It doesn't matter, but don't shoot over my shoulder. It's rude.
And I think that then leads on to someone saying, "Oh, look at my photos. They're just as good, if not better, than the professionals." And thinking, "No, it's not." Okay, because you didn't set it up.
Well, this is something. So the video I watched, right? This is something that happened to. This is Justin Mott. It's what happened to him. He set up this shot for a company. A graphic designer of the company was there. He shot over the shoulder. He then went up to the big bosses and said, "Why are you spending the money on this photographer? Look at the shot that I've done." No,
that's
yeah. So he had to go and sort of defend himself. He had to go to the big wigs and defend himself, and it's not cool. Don't do it. And also, and I know we have a big issue with this with graduations, people with mobile phones, and you're at a studio, and I have it sometimes when I'm doing a family portrait. I don't mind necessarily people doing behind the scenes shots of me doing whatever. They've taken a picture of the baby and they got me in the picture and all that. I don't necessarily mind that so much. But when people I set up a shot of the baby, like maybe lying on a beanbag, and I've arranged these things around it, and then they come over with the mobile phone and no, don't do that. You don't take, the thing is, you don't take your own booze into a pub. So why would you take your own photo in a photography shoot?
There's so many analogies, aren't there, with that? That's right. Yeah. And that's a good one.
Okay. So that's annoying. I just want to go over to things as well. And this is something that Justin Mott mentioned, and I thought about it. It's like, I hate it as well. Buying memory. Right.
Yeah.
How much do we spend on memory? Right. And we absolutely have to do it. And you have to absolutely do it. We spoke about a memory thing the other week, didn't we? But it's so boring. You can just spend hundreds of pounds on basically a little bit of plastic that goes in your camera. It is so boring. Come on, guys. Let's see if we can sex this up a little bit. I'm parting with all my money on this stuff, and it's just so boring.
I've never thought about this, but I think that if I counted up all the memory cards I had, which are a mix of SD and compact flash, I think with all of like the commercial stuff, the weddings, the videos, the graduation stuff, I think I have probably got in excess of 100 cards.
Yeah.
maybe 100, probably 120, something like that.
Yeah, and they're about,
Okay.
they could be about £15 each, depending on the
Yeah.
size that you've gone for, especially
Yeah,
with
that's right.
SD.
Yeah.
We're not thinking
And
about SQDs here, but
no. Yeah. And they all get used. But
yeah.
that's the
And then there's
thing.
hard drives, and then you got to,
Yeah.
and then the way I do it is to mirror your hard drive, and you got it's all.
That's the biggest thing that really gets me. The SD cards and compact flash that you're using in camera, not so much. I'm fine with those, other than numbering them and keeping the numbers on there with the usual stickers or whatever.
Yeah.
And your numbering system, at least mine, doesn't go
Oh.
from one to 120. I've got
Yeah.
all different codes. I've started with B1, B2, and my next one is J3, J10,
Yeah.
C100, whatever. But it's to do with the storage, the external storage and backing up. That's the biggest issue that I have with the amount that I sort of have to spend on that, with the amount of shoots that we do. I do now sort of start thinking, could I actually now, am I at a point where I could just delete a load of stuff from years ago, and just use that and not purchase anymore, and just use that, use those drives for backing up newer stuff.
But then you risk using an old drive, and it might, and then that's going to go through your head. So
yeah. And of course, as soon as you delete that job that you had from 7 years ago, that message is going to come in.
Yeah.
Oh, do you by any chance?
Do you buy
images? That's right. Yeah. So.
Annoying.
Okay. Next one. Camera bags. Okay.
But you love a camera bag, Cam.
I love a camera bag, but it's not me, because I have an issue to pick up with you on this, Mark, and I have mentioned it to you before. But your main camera bag, you do not need everything that you've got in your camera bag, because it weighs a ton.
It does weigh a ton, but all that stuff is needed. It is.
It's
so
not.
Okay,
I've looked in your bag.
Okay, if you looked in my bag, then what's not needed in my bag?
Oh yeah, you've got plugs, chargers. It's the amount of stuff and the weight that it actually is. Just makes no sense. In fact, next time we're together, what we'll do is we'll open your camera bag, okay, and we'll empty it out. And I think you could put it in 2, maybe 3 separate bags, because I think you should do this. You should have a small bag, take your big bag with everything. And think, right, okay, I've got 2 bags.
I don't want another bag,
but no, one very small one that you say, right, I'm doing this shoot. What do I need right now for this shoot? Get it, put it in your small bag, take that bag with you, leave your other bag somewhere else, right? In your car or... But you're not having to carry that huge bag.
Yeah, but
as we found out that someone had to carry for you last week.
But you know
in
what?
London.
Yeah, but that's not. But it isn't the plugs and the chargers that weigh down my bag. It's the 70 to 200mm lens that's in there, the 2 camera bodies, and the 2 other lenses that I've got in there. That's what weighs it down. Not the.
But you don't need. But you don't necessarily need those lenses for every shoot that you do.
But the only thing I would say though, it has to be on that particular day. We had just checked out of the hotel. So actually, the previous days, I didn't have all that stuff in there. It was at the hotel. It was only because we'd left the hotel.
Yeah.
And obviously all my charges, because I charge batteries overnight. We all know the R6 eats batteries. So I get through about 2 or 3 batteries a day doing the graduations, because it's constant, isn't it? And I then have to have batteries for the backup camera, because if I'm doing the awards and the R6 goes down for whatever reason, I've got to quickly switch over. But yeah, so all that stuff is in the room normally. It just happened that day. It's the day we checked out.
And let's give a shout out to photographer Ray.
Yes, because he did have to hold that.
Who took an Uber. The Uber got lost, dropped him off and some colleagues.
Well, no, whoa. Hang on a minute. That's not quite what happened, right? We all got the Uber, all right? We were going from the hotel to the Barbican. We all got the Uber. We put all our bags in. It turns out there wasn't enough room for everyone to be in the Uber. So I then said, despite the fact it was peeing it down with rain, I said, you know what, guys? You guys get the Uber. I'll walk to the Barbican.
It's very good of you.
Fine. Yep. It turns out that I got there about 20 minutes before everybody else because they got lost.
So this Uber driver in the centre of London got lost and he didn't know where he was going, right? Right. How bizarre is that? Anyway, so Ray had to carry not only your bag, and when I say your bag is heavy, Mark, your bag is really heavy.
Yeah, it is heavy.
And in addition to that, he had to carry his own gear as well.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So shout out to Ray. Anyway, okay. Next thing, social media. Now, I don't use social media personally.
No.
I hate using it for the business. And as a business, I would honestly say that is, I don't like to use the word, it's a failing, but it's something that we don't really spend the amount of time that a lot of other people do in social media. And I think because of that, we actually lose out on getting work.
Yeah,
I think
probably.
it does affect.
Yeah. but it annoys me. It shouldn't have to. Shouldn't have to be good at social media to get. Oh, just annoys me because I hate it. I hate social media with a passion.
They say
I'm on it. I'm on it. Don't get me
mm,
wrong, but I hate it.
I mean, this is social media, isn't it?
Well, yeah, I
but
guess.
but you know what we're sort of talking about. But
Mm.
I don't feel the need to tell people that they say it's good marketing. Hey, look, we're on this shoot.
Yeah.
Hey, we're here today. We're here. We're there. We're doing this. We're doing that. One, I don't have the time. I forget. It's never on my mind to even do that.
But it's not
And
just about that though these days, is it? It's not just about posting something, or you got to do certain things now, haven't you? You got to market it the right way if you're going to post. I mean, it takes about I reckon about 40 minutes to one post now, with all the extra things you got to do to make sure it cuts through to the audience, you know.
And then people say, well, you can you know, do them in one go. You can schedule them. Okay, yes, that's fine. You can schedule posts, but and in your business plan, I guess, in your we should be making time to do that. And I've tried it. I've done it for short periods, and then I've had to stop.
Yeah.
You can employ somebody to do it. Yes,
that's spending more money.
Make a lot of sense. But then you find that when I've done it in the past, that they don't hit the message, that they don't know really enough about what we do and how we do it. And then if you want to be putting daily stuff out, like, hey, I'm on this shoot today, you know, I'm in London today. You know, that day, you know, I was at Northampton for a graduation, then drove from Northampton to the Cotswolds to do a part of a wedding, and then came back to Northampton for the graduation.
Yeah.
I could have put loads of posts up. Hey, look, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I've got this, I've got that going on. But just, you know, I just don't need, it doesn't even occur to me to do it. But saying that, the photographers that do that, lots of them will pick up extra work because of it, you know.
Yeah, I guess. You know,
but yeah, it's a social media. Lens cleaning tools is the next thing that you got to.
They don't bloody work. I'm sorry, they don't. I mean, it's coming from a glasses user, right? None of this stuff works. The only thing that works to clean my glasses is water and a towel. That's the only thing that properly works. And then, of course, because if you're carrying these lens cleaning around, have been in bags and have been in, there's probably some grit in there. That's going to scratch the hell out of your lens. It just annoys me. It really does. That none of the stuff, I've not found anything that works properly. There's always some smear or something going on. That's quite a short one. Another thing that really hacks me off. Now, again, I know you can buy little things to sort this out, but tripod threads. Now, when I say tripod threads, I mean the plate you put your camera onto, this then clicks into the tripod, right? You then go portrait mode, and I understand you can get rings. It's something else you have to buy. But if you put the tripod into portrait mode, because of the way the thread is, you can't keep the camera there, because the camera eventually just starts sliding down, because that's because it's undoing, basically. That's the thread. Why isn't the thread the other way? Why isn't it like that? So then if the thread's the other way, it can only tighten if it goes down. I don't get it. I don't get it. So annoying. So annoying. Get that sorted, guys.
There are many things, aren't there, Mark, that we could go through, and I think we
portrait using a flash as well. If you're using a flash gun and you go to portrait mode, and basically the shadow, if anyone's next to a wall, the shadow's always to their to their left, to your right.
Yeah.
No one's invented a thing that can move the flash over, so it's central on your camera in portrait mode. But actually, when you're turning the camera to portrait like that.
Yeah. Although, have you seen this? There's a new flash that actually the head rotates automatically depending which way you turn the camera. I saw it on I saw it on Insta, and I didn't know if it was a wind up or not. And it's not. I don't know who makes it, and I'm not going to comment on whether I think it's good or not. But most of the comments on there were pretty much saying photographers, well, you know, you can just turn it with your hand. And the time it takes to position itself, because it moves electronically, you'd have done your shot anyway, right?
Sounds like an April Fool's, that, but
yeah, it could have been. It could have been. So it did look genuine to us. Thought, maybe that's not right, but perhaps it was. But as I said, on a day-to-day basis, I mean, we could pick any shoot on any day, and we could probably list 20 things very easy, thinking this frustrates me, this always happens, this frustrates me, that frustrates me. But it is the world of photography. It is the wonderful world of photography. All the years that I've been doing it, Mark, I wouldn't do anything else. I wouldn't go back. I don't go back and think I should have done something else, should have got into another career. I've loved it. I've loved every minute of it, because it's always different. We're in different places all the time. We meet different people. we work with a lot of other photographers. We see all these photographers. There's a real good rapport there as well. And I think
it's just something that you're good at, isn't it? At the end of the day, we're all built differently. I wish I was built where I was really good at numbers, and I wish maths really excited me, because then maybe I would have been a mathematician and earned a lot more money. And but I hate maths, so I could never do it.
Yeah,
I am a creative, and this is where I am. So
yeah.
I couldn't do anything
And
else.
sort of money aside, the fact is that I don't think I could go to, and it's only because this is what I'm used to, but I don't think I could go to the same place of work day after day after day after day.
Well, I have done, and
and I don't think I could work from home day after day after day. I couldn't get up thinking, right, I've got to go to work today, and I'll I'm in at 8, I'll be there until say 6 or 9 to 5 or whatever shift you're doing, and then you might well enjoy your job, but I'm sure you get to a point where, right, I'm going back into the same place again, day after day after day. And some people, it's fine. Some people like that. They like that sort of security and going, and they enjoy that. But for me, that's something that I value very much. Not knowing where I'm going to be like on a day-to-day basis. Sometimes it really is like that. Not just on a month to month, week to week, day to day, but sometimes it's hour to hour, the way it changes for us.
Yeah.
It's like when we're on a shoot, I'll turn around and say to you, oh, Mark, I've got to go off and do this. Oh, Mark, you couldn't do this. And on your way back, shoot that. And on your way back, could you get this as well?
Also, the sun moves, the weather changes. I mean, you're doing it, you get all your settings for a really bright sun, and the cloud goes over and everything's too dark, and you got to
That's right, yeah. That's right, yeah. Or, if you're at a graduation ceremony, there's a client request, but the client request is you've got to go somewhere else. Another site to go and shoot it, or they've requested this and you've got to go and do that. You're flying by the seat of your pants a lot of the time, and and they expect it, and how quickly can we have it? We need to get it on social media. Could you film this for us? And how can you
bloody social media again?
Bloody social media drives it all, doesn't it? But we're blessed, and I think all these things, they're minor things, but whatever job you do, there's always these.
I was just about to say, I was going to say exactly the same thing. I'm sure there's many people that have little things in there that says, why is it like this?
Exactly. That's right. Yeah. Thank you guys for listening. Please do keep listening. It's what keeps this going, and hopefully we're putting out some useful and some fun content out there for you guys to enjoy and listen to. Okay, guys, until next time, see you there.
Bye for now, guys.